So you may have seen from some of my other videos that I'm in the process of building the HobbyBoss 1/35th scale M1070 HET truck and transporter. And this is a bear of a kit to put together. I don't know how many pieces, but I would say a bazillion pieces. Tiny, tiny, tiny pieces, as you can see from what we've got here. Instructions are not that great. I give them a 3 out of 5 probably. Highly detailed kit. You definitely get value for your money for building, because it's going to take a long time to build. It's got at least 11 photo etch sheets. Fits pretty good, but it can be very tricky, especially when you're building the chassis. And then the instructions will tell you to glue certain things together, or will tell you not, or won't tell you not to glue them. If you glue them, then things become unworkable. So for example, the steering's supposed to be workable, fronts should be workable, but depending upon if you glue it in certain places, it will become immediately unworkable. So for example, they want you to glue in the steering linkage here and here, reverse steering linkage. If you do that, then it's going to lock it in. And also, I don't know if these are tie rod, steering linkage, whatever. You're supposed to glue it in, but I've gone through in another video, I drilled them out and used 24 gauge wire to make a hinge. Anyway, so this video is actually about some of the challenges I've had to come across in building this. So this is a first kit where I've really had to do extensive photo etch, so it's been a huge learning curve, a lot of different things. I've picked up a lot of different tools, fortunately, because they're needed. So some of the biggest challenges are the teeny weeny tiny photo etch pieces that you have to bend. So this one is a grab handle. So bending that by itself is not so bad. You see how big it is right there, I think. Well, anyway, that gives you an idea of size of reference. So what they also have is, I was working on this ladder, and they have some photo etch to be some type of frame to simulate the treads, perforated treads for the ladder steps. And these are about 3 millimeters by, what, 6 millimeters? Oh, actually more like 10 millimeters long. The problem is there's not really enough meat to grab onto them to bend them. So hopefully a trick I'm going to show you here might help you if you're doing something similar. Let's see if I can keep from bending that one any further. All right. So these come as a flat piece, and I tried, and it needs 2 90-degree bends, so it'll fit over this the tread of this ladder. And I tried a few different ways to get those bends in there as straight as I could, but most of the tools I have did not work very well. So I'll show you what failed, and then I'll show you what I found that worked. So, and hopefully it'll also show you some of these tools and how they might or might not be effective for you. So I've got the Paragraphics photo fold, which is pretty cool. It's a photo etch thing itself. It's kind of like a metal brake. You put your piece in there and you can bend it up. The concept is really good. The problem is it flexes right here. So there's certain circumstances where the flex will throw things off, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. So that didn't work well for these, because in doing the second bend, you only had like 1 millimeter to grab onto, and that was enough to lock it into place and bend it up. So I did not have success with that one. But this was very handy. We'll talk about that more later. Where's the other one? All right, well, we'll talk about it. I've got the Etchmate. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's Mission Models Etchmate. Very old one. I don't think they make this. I don't even know if Mission Models in tools is around anymore. I think they're doing paints. Anyway, nice tool. Photo etch, pretty standard. You probably have seen them before. The problem is, because there's only that 1 millimeter to grab a hold of, it would constantly slip out of here. Tried it on all 4 sides. I think I got one to work, but it was very difficult. So for something this small, it would not grab well enough to give me that last bend. So that didn't work. Let's see. All right, I have one other tool that was not so successful, but I can't find it. So we'll go on to the next one. So what did end up working was wood chisels. So I don't know what size that is. That's about 3/4 of an inch. And that looks like 1/2 inch wood chisel. I think I also have a 1-inch chisel as well. I got these during Black Friday, probably 10 or 20 bucks. So the good thing about this is hardened steel, very straight edge. You got a couple bevels you can work with. Very sharp, although sharp as in they come to a good point. That can also work against you if you press too hard and the photo etch is too thin. You could cut through it, but I've only done a couple and I haven't had that problem. So what I found was, let me find one of these that wasn't so good. I actually might be able to make that one work. All right, anyway. So this one doesn't have very straight bends because I've bent it multiple times. So I'm going to see if I can straighten it out with the chisels and show you how they worked. So I did one that was flat and straight, and it came out really well, worked very well. I'll show you this to give you an idea. It's going to be a little hard to capture this on camera, but you'll get the idea. So where you want to make the bend, you put the flat side of the chisel, and that'll give you your 90-degree surface, because it's nice, sharp, and pointy. It grabs the photo etch, holds it there. Get my fingers out of the way. I don't have a macro lens. This is on a video on an iPhone, so that's the best I'm going to get. And then you can sandwich those up, and that gives you a pretty good 45 or 90-degree bend for that one side. Gets it in there because there's not a whole lot of room. Obviously, each side of this is about 1 millimeter. The center portion of the step might be 1.5 millimeters. So do the other side, and this is right now, it's just straightening it out, getting a nice, well, a better 45-degree, God, sorry, I keep saying 45, 90-degree angle. So because it's hardened, it really has some force on the brass. So what we're doing is holding that, perpendicular to the cutting board, coming in underneath of the photo etch, catching it, and then curving it up. So because it's so sharp, it holds it in there really well. So two drawbacks. Very sharp. So if it slips and catches your hand, it's going to cut you about as good as a razor blade. So you got to be careful of that. And this is fortunately a cheap cutting board, but it's gouging the crap out of the cutting board. So, but it's cheap, so that's not a problem. So anyway, I hope this trick, tip, helps somebody else in bending some seriously small, stupidly small photo etch. And then since we're on the topic, let's talk about a few other tools. Let's talk about the cutting board. Got this at one of the discount local stores, Odd Lots. I'd assume other stores would have it. It's got a brand name of Faberware on it. And I believe I paid $4 for it. It's cutting board, so for the kitchen. It's a little bit softer than acrylic, but it's got more give than glass. I hear guys who cut their photo etch on glass, and I can't imagine doing that. So I was thinking of getting a piece of acrylic and using that, but I came across this and I was like, wow, let's try this. So what it does very well is you can get in there and cut, doesn't bend your photo etch, but it also gives some cushion to the blade, being that it's a cutting board. So take a little bit longer time to dull your blade. Reversible, same side, same surface on the other side. It's nice and hard. $4, you really can't beat it. And here's the other tool that was right in front of my face that I was talking about. This was $14 on Amazon. Still haven't quite figured this one out. It was good for, I was using it kind of before I thought of the chisels to give me that 45 degree, 90 degree surface perpendicular to the board. And then I was doing this, and that worked for one, but you can't really get enough torque to compress them together and get a really good 90 degree bend there. That's where the hardened steel of the chisels come in. So I'd highly recommend this. Probably next Black Friday or next special, I'm going to pick up another one of these. So another set. All right. So that's the tip for a teeny tiny photo etch. Now the other thing I ran into is the top cab of the truck for the HET requires, this is the top cab of it, requires a bend on this edge. And it's only, it looks to be, it's less than a millimeter. So I was going to face the same problems grabbing it. So this is where the photo could have come in handy, but again, there is not enough for you to either grab it this way and it doesn't want to stay in, because it keeps popping out because there's just not enough torque to keep it down. And I believe I tried it this way. Same thing happens. Is there's too much flex right along here, and so it doesn't really pick up the edge. Still a useful tool. We'll get back to that in a second. That's where this style tool did come in handy. We turned it around. I didn't think I was going to get lucky with this one, but we did. Turn the blade around. I didn't think I was going to be able to grab that thin a piece of metal either, but I got lucky. So I was able to, took me about 5 minutes to line it up. I was able to get that edge in there. It grabbed it, fortunately, and I was able to bend it up. So I was able to get that bend in there. Problem is, I was just kind of goofing around, but I figured I'd go for it anyway. That was a mistake in that. This one, there needs to be a bend here going down. Let's see if I can show you in instructions. I should have done that one first. There it is. So this is the metal, this is the profile of the metal roof piece. Here it's shown here. So you can see we need to bend a lip here, and then we need to bend this, whatever that is, 45 degrees. So I should have bent the inside ones first and then the outside. So that's a problem because now that I've got that lip already in there, I can't get it to here because then I'm going to crush the lip. This one, the pins are in the way. I tried to get it in here and I couldn't get it either positioned this way or positioned this way to allow me to bend it. So that was going to be a challenge. So I was thinking I might have to use the chisels again, but with such a long piece, I don't think that was going to come out very well. So what you're going to get to witness live is whether the Paragraphics Photo Fold, which I paid for myself, this is not sponsored, is going to do the job. And it's certain jobs it does very, very well. I think this one it's going to do well. So what's good here is this has to be positioned that way. So the lip is still down. So we still have teeny, tiny lip on there that kind of gets in our way. So we can't come at it from this way because we have to hold this tight. But what we can do, and you can see this is, here is the line on the photo. I'm trying to catch it without the glare. Great, oh, there it is. You can see the line, that is where we need to bend it, the 45. So fortunately, this does have enough give that we can slide it in. I don't know if you can actually see the lip there, because again, I don't have a Mac, but there's a tiny, teeny, tiny lip. But this has enough flexibility that's not going to be an issue. So we can feed it through. You can line up sorry if you can't see the line on camera. So one of the tricks is you have to really torque it down with your fingers and then fold up. As you can see, it folds the whole thing at one time. But as you can see, there's a little give here. So actually, yeah, this way, use both thumbs, fingers. And let's see, that looks like it's about 45. All right, cool. So in this situation, it works really, really well. Why doesn't it want to come out? There we go. So I'm very happy I had that tool now. Definitely worth it. A little pricey, I think, with shipping. Shipping was expensive. 43 bucks, and that was the cheapest I found on the web. I think a hobby store out in California. Shipping was like 13 bucks, so the thing itself was actually not too bad. 26 bucks, I think. So that came out well. And then what we can do is finish that lip off. Hopefully with this tool. Don't need that puppy. Since we already have the edge in there, it makes it easier to catch it. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to bend that up though, because obviously it's only going to go 90 degrees. I'll have to figure out what we're going to do after that. And we can, so we got it caught in there. Looks to be pretty straight. Cinch it down. Use our fingers, bend it up. Hopefully, ooh, it looks like it needs to go in. All right, see how it jumped out of there? That's the problem because there's so little to bite onto. Although the first time I did it, it got a pretty good bite. So we're going to try it again, see if we can get a little bit more of a lip on it. Or a bend to it. Cinch it down tight. Actually, if you can use your fingers to bend up and push in to keep it inside the tool. That's giving me a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that seemed to work. It really needs to go almost to be three-quarters of the way up, but I don't know how we're going to do that one, so I may live with this. The other thing I would suggest is, because this is going to be on the top of the truck, and could get caught by your fingers, your skin, or whatever, is shave down the sides, because this can be like a razor blade. This is a standard nail file, big one though. I've already filed it down. Dull it down a little bit so it's not so razor sharp. And then I also cut the corners so they're not as sharp as well. So I've done this to the pieces that are going to stick out that could catch your finger. So I would suggest this also gets rid of some of any of the burrs that might be left over. So that was one trick. There's one more trick. I have to remember what it was. This one picked up from Amazon. Again, 14 bucks. Oh, there we go. Specifically picked this one up to make grab handles. I thought it would be good to be able to use these holes to put wire through to make a consistently sized grab handle. So let's say I want one this small. It's 24 gauge wire, so this is pretty easy to bend. I'm just doing this one on the fly. I'm sure we can. There's a better way to do this. So I haven't practiced with this one, but anyway, that's the primary reason why I picked this up. So we'll have to practice with that one. Be nicer if it was a thinner or thicker piece of metal, so you could really torque it down and then mash down the 90-degree bend on that. There are other ways to do that though. I did want to try on camera just for fun. So this is 24 gauge. This is a standard sized paper clip straightened out. So it's a little heavier than a 24 gauge. I really don't know what the gauge is. So your typical paper clip straightened out. So I'm just curious how this might. I need a good way to. Let's try this. Let's hold it with a pair of pliers. Feed it through. Again, I haven't practiced with this yet, but actually you could probably do this first bend, not even in there, so you get a better 45-degree angle on it. I'm just showing you this to maybe give you some ideas for a tool like this. All right, now that we've got that one in there, let's see if we can. Yeah, I'm not in love with that, but you can make it work. So the key is you can make them a consistent size, and then you can come back and I'm not sure with this gauge wire, which is pretty heavy, how we're going to get that to be more consistent. But anyway, that'll give you an idea as to some of the one of the things you can do here. There might be something on YouTube for this. I haven't seen it. I haven't looked for it much either though, but anyway. All right, I think that's all the tips and tricks. As you can see here, got a lot of the pieces yet to put on. And as I'd mentioned, the fiddly bits, or if I haven't, a bazillion fiddly bits. This is a reflector for the tractor. I think they have some for the trailer as well, but you can see how big that one is. Again, this is that 3x10 millimeter one that we just bent. Just way tiny pieces, just way too many of them. And then you've got this puppy here. I think it's the adjustment knob to the driver and passenger seat. And it's still got a piece of the screw gate on so I can pick it up. When I glue it down, then I'll cut that off. But how freaking tiny is that? That's just ridiculous. So that's one of the challenging things of this kit. Lots and lots of tiny little pieces. So if you're into tiny, teeny little pieces, then this is the kit for you. All right, I hope this was helpful to you.